T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Why did you let him kill me? It was the clown. Make the clown go away.
What was that? A stray radio signal? Your own mind playing tricks on you? Or was it something else? Those are the exact questions that kickstart any real paranormal investigation. This isn't about jumping at shadows, it's about methodically finding the light switch. This is your first step into a world where history and technology collide to explain the unexplainable. Welcome to the unseen world.
In the shattered drowned hollows of the Appalachian Mountains, a creature lurks. And it's a hulking, hairy beast that walks on two legs. And in Virginia, it has a name, the Woodbooger. And to most of the world, it's a monster, a boogeyman from a campfire tale. But is that the whole story? What if the legend says less about a monster and more about our own changing relationship with the wild? Well, this is the story of how a local legend became a monster, and how a small Virginia town is now celebrating its true spirit. Long before Virginia was drawn on a map, these forests were the ancestral homelands of people like the Monacan. And for them, the world was alive with spiritual meaning and a profound respect for the land. Their oral traditions include the belief that their ancestors are still part of them through the land itself. While there is no specific documented Monacan legend of a Bigfoot-like creature, their worldview didn't separate the natural from the supernatural, and the forests were home to beings and spirits that demanded respect. And this deeply ingrained reverence for the wild forms the historical backdrop upon which a very different story would eventually be built. When European settlers pushed into the Appalachian foothills, they brought their own folklore with them, including the boogeyman. The booger is a regional variant of the British bogey, a shapeless goblin used to frighten children. And in the mountains, booger became a catch-all for any strange, unseen, or frightening thing. So how did it become the Woodbooger? Well, according to local folklore, the name became popular in the late 19th century. And parents would warn their kids not to wander off, saying the Woodbooger will get you. And with that, the narrative shifted. The ancient spiritual reverence for a presence in the forest was being replaced by fear of a monster. For decades, the Woodbooger was just a piece of regional folklore. That all changed in the 21st century. An amateur video caught the attention of the show Finding Bigfoot, and in 2011 the team arrived in Norton, Virginia to investigate. And they held a town hall meeting and the floodgates opened. The room filled with people eager to share their personal encounters. They described the consistent creature, huge, hairy, and bipedal with an overpowering stench. The episode put Norton's Woodbooger on the national map. In Norton, a community looking for life beyond its reliance on the declining coal industry, it saw an opportunity. In 2014, the city council officially designated Flag Rock Recreation Area a Woodbooger Sanctuary. And a year later, a large statue of the Woodbooger was erected, cementing its status as a local icon, a source of civic pride, and a draw for tourism. The story of the Woodbooger shows how a legend can evolve. What legends are told where you live? Share the tales from your part of the world in comments below. We'd all love to hear them. So what is the Woodbooger? Is it a flesh and blood primate, a folk memory, or a spirit of the woods? Maybe the true story isn't about proving what it is, but understanding what it represents. The legend's journey mirrors our own changing relationship with the wild. At first there was a deep spiritual understanding of the land, and then as the wilderness was settled, that respect often curdled into fear, and the unknown became monsters. But now the story is changing again. In Norton, the Woodbooger is no longer just a monster to be feared. And by making it a sanctioned protector of the land, the community has perhaps unintentionally created a new chapter for the legend. The creature is once again a guardian. Maybe the point of the Woodbooger isn't for us to find a monster in the woods. Maybe it's to find part of ourselves that still looks into the forest with wonder and respect for the great mysterious stories the land still has to tell. That's something to think about. You guys have a good night. Thanks for listening.
Are you right in front of me? That should focus. There's no reason that camera shouldn't focus. Are you standing like right in front of me? If you are, can you move away, please? Can you move either to the left? Can you move either to the left or the right? Thank you. Right when I said it.
In the deep woods of Appalachia, there's an old saying, never speak of the devil at night, for he is always listening. But what if the devil isn't the only thing to fear? And for generations, the granny witches of the mountains have known what really lurks in the shadows and, more importantly, how to keep it out. And ever wonder what they knew that we don't? Let's find out. When you hear granny witch, don't picture some fairy tale hag. But think of the respected elder in an isolated mountain community, the woman who was its heart. And she was the midwife and the healer and the keeper of the old ways, and the nearest doctor was a day's journey away, and survival came down to what you knew and who you could trust. This uniquely American folk tradition is a potent mix, with roots reaching back to the Scotch, Irish, English, and German settlers who brought their own magic with them. Once here, those practices blended with the deep knowledge of the land learned from Native American neighbors like the Cherokee and Choctaw. While it developed its own distinct flavor, it was also part of a wider tapestry of Southern folk magic, which was indirectly influenced by the spiritual practices of African Americans. This wasn't book learning. This was practical magic passed from mother to daughter and born from a deep connection to the mountains. So what exactly were they protecting their homes from? The mountain lore is filled with tales of spirits, some mischievous and some truly malevolent. One of the most famous is the Haint, a restless spirit, a ghost that can bring a deep chill and a string of bad luck into a house. Imagine a cold spot in a warm room, or that unshakable feeling of being watched when you know you're alone. These were the kinds of troubles the doctors couldn't diagnose, and the granny woman knew just how to handle. For a granny woman, protecting a home started at the front door. You might have heard of paint blue, that specific pale blue-green color on porch ceilings. And that tradition has its strongest roots in the Gullah Geechee culture of coastal South Carolina and Georgia, whose people believed the color looked like water or the sky which spirits couldn't cross. While it's most famous in the Low Country, the custom spread, and the idea of using color to trick spirits found its way into homes all over the South. Another trick was even simpler. Laying a broom across the doorway was thought to create a barrier that a spirit or ill-wisher couldn't step over. And then there's salt, one of the oldest tools for purification in folk magic around the world. The line of salt sprinkled across the threshold was seen as an impassable wall for negativity, and some folks would even mop their floors with salt water to give the whole house a spiritual cleansing. Protection didn't stop at the door. Iron was believed to have real power against the unseen. The horseshoe nailed over the door, always with the ends pointing up so luck didn't run out, was a common sight. The smoke was another powerful cleanser. While burning herbs was a widespread practice, using what was on hand like bundles of local cedar or pine to drive away heavy or oppressive feeling out of a room was just plain common sense for people living so close to the land. But what makes Appalachian magic so distinct is how often it was woven together with Christianity. And for many granny women, these practices weren't against the Bible, they were part of the same system of belief. And a healer might read from the book of Psalms to drive out darkness one minute, and then recommend a lucky buckeye for your pocket the next. And of course, not everyone in the community approved, and some churchgoers saw these old ways with suspicion. But for the women who practiced them, faith and folk wisdom were two sides of the same coin. Protection wasn't just for the home, it was something you carried with you. A buckeye nut tucked in a pocket was said to ward off sickness and bring good fortune. A simple piece of red thread tied around a baby's wrist was believed to keep the child safe from harm. And there were also things you just didn't do. Unwritten rules meant to keep you from inviting trouble. You never whistled at night because it might summon spirits. And your hair was considered to hold a part of your spirit. And it was always burned, never just thrown out, to keep it from being used in a spell against you. And these weren't just superstitions, they were a complete guide for navigating a world where the spiritual and the physical were, well, one and the same. These traditions are kept alive by telling their stories. And if your family has a piece of mountain wisdom or a story about keeping safe from things that go bump in the night, please share it in the comments below. And if you want to uncover more secrets from the deep woods, make sure to subscribe. The world is a different place now, and many of the old-time granny women are gone, but their knowledge hasn't disappeared. It lives on in modern herbalism and homesteading, and in that timeless desire to protect our homes and families. It just goes to show you that in the oldest mountains, some secrets are never truly lost. They're just waiting to be remembered.
A shadow person is an unexplained figure people sometimes see out of the corner of their eye or standing in dimly lit places like this. It's usually darker than the surrounding darkness, shaped like a human but without features.
In the ancient mist-covered peaks of Appalachia, there are unwritten laws passed down through generations. These aren't quaint traditions. They are survival guides born from a wilderness that holds secrets older than memory. And one of the most serious warnings, one that even modern skeptics hesitate to test, is simple: never, ever whistle at night. In communities all through the mountains, the elders will give you the warning: don't whistle after dark. This isn't just a superstition, it's a piece of deeply ingrained regional wisdom. Whistling in these woods after the sun goes down isn't just making a sound, it's sending an invitation. And according to countless reports, you won't like what answers. The stories aren't about one person, but many who learned this lesson the hard way. And the belief is a complex blend of European settler mythology, Native American legends, and African American hoodoo traditions that found fertile ground in the region. The core of the warning is consistent across these cultures. A whistle in the dark pierces a natural silence and attracts unwanted attention. Within hoodoo, certain high-pitched sounds are believed to mimic spiritual calls, unintentionally signaling to wandering spirits that your space is open. The broader legend states that if you send a whistle out into the woods, you're telling whatever is listening that you're alone and vulnerable. And many who grew up in the region share similar childhood memories of being sharply corrected by a grandparent for whistling as dust fell, their elders' face tight with genuine concern. And this isn't a story told to scare children, it's a rule adults live by. Across the hundreds of anecdotal reports, a terrifying pattern emerges. The first thing that happens after the defiant whistle is a profound silence. The normal chorus of insects and animals abruptly stops, as if the woods itself is holding its breath. And then the sound comes from deep within the woods. The whistler's own tune is repeated back to them. Accounts describe the mimicry as perfect, yet chillingly wrong. Thin, hollow, and devoid of life, like wind whistling over an empty bottle. This isn't an echo. An echo doesn't wait for you to finish. This is a response. And story after story, the mimicking whistle then begins to move, sounding again from a new location, closer than before, just at the edge of the property line. And it's an intelligent hunting sound, and it's coming from the source of the first whistle. So what is it that people believe comes when you whistle? When Appalachian folklore, the term hain is often used to describe a restless, angry, or hungry spirit. And the word and its meaning have deep roots in the hoodoo spiritual practices of the Gullah Geechee people, descendants of enslaved Africans from the coastal south. And in these traditions, a hain is a malevolent entity that can cause harm to the living. And whistling is an act that can draw their specific attention. Another name given to these phenomena is mimics. And these beings are said to have the uncanny ability to replicate sounds, not just whistles, but the voices of loved ones to lure you out of the safety of your home. Some traditions link the superstition to Native American legends of shape-shifting creatures like the Wendigo. Whatever you call it, the belief is the same. Whistling is like ringing a dinner bell for something that sees you as prey. Most terrifying accounts are those where the entity drawn by the whistle doesn't stay in the woods. People report retreating inside, locking their doors only to have the mimicry follow them. And the whistling appears right outside the window, as if the source is now standing on the porch. Then comes the next stage of the encounter, physical interaction. Reports describe the sound of a floorboard creaking on the porch, followed by soft, deliberate scratching at the door. And the ultimate terror, mentioned in the darkest of these tales, is when the mimic uses a stolen voice, whispering the whistler's name from just outside of the door. But for those who claim to have had these encounters, the experience is life-altering. They speak of a night spent in silent terror waiting for the first light at dawn, which always seems to bring safety. In some stories, the only evidence left is physical. Deep scratches carved into the front door or window frame. And the mountains, once seen as beautiful, are forever changed in their eyes, now viewed as ancient, powerful, and filled with a menacing intelligence. The common thread is a newfound, profound respect for the old warnings. Skepticism is burned away by an experience they cannot explain, but now implicitly trust. So the next time you're in those ancient mountains after dark and the quiet presses in on you, will you risk it? Will you purse your lips and send an invitation out into the shadows just to see what might answer? What stories have been passed down in your family? What warnings did your grandparents give you about the woods after dark? Share your own experiences of the folklore you grew up with in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want to explore more dark corners of folklore and tales from the world's most mysterious places, make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. You're a lady, and we know that you work here, and I think you're a nurse. What kind of horses do ghosts ride? Well, nightmares. In the hills of West Virginia, there's a train tunnel that's been home to a chilling story for over a century. People say that in the dark of the Silver Run Tunnel, a ghostly bride has been seen since 1910. And train engineers and now ghost hunters have all reported seeing a mysterious woman in a white dress, a spectral figure bound to the tracks. And this is the tale of the Silver Run Tunnel Bride. The story begins during the railroad era, on the Baltimore and Ohio line. The most famous account comes from a foggy night in 1910. An engineer running a midnight express from Grafton to Parkersburg saw a woman in a pale gown walking on the tracks. And he slammed on the brakes but knew it was too late. And when the train shuddered to a stop, he and his fireman jumped down to find absolutely nothing. The woman was gone. And when the shaken engineer reported it, the story spread like wildfire, becoming classic railroad folklore. And the sightings didn't stop. Years later, another engineer, a skeptic, bragged he wouldn't slow down if he saw her, and sure enough, on his next run, there she was. And he sped through, but when he reached Parkersburg, he was met with startling news. Telegraphers reported a ghostly woman had been seen clinging to the front of his locomotive for the entire trip. But who was she? Folklore says she was a young bride on her way to meet her fiancé. Some say her beloved never showed, and in her grief she stepped in front of a train. And others whisper that she fell or was pushed. And in every telling, a life was cut short, leaving a spirit to wander the place she died. Our investigation took us to Cairo, West Virginia, gateway to the North Bend Rail Trail, which now covers the old B&O line. And just west of town lies Tunnel 19, the Silver Run Tunnel. The entrance is a dark gaping mouth on the side of a hill. And the moment you step inside, the air gets cold and the world goes pitch black. And the tunnel is 1,376 feet long, almost a quarter mile of darkness you have to cross with a flashlight. The silence is heavy, broken only by the constant drip of water from the ceiling. And it's disorienting, and your mind can start playing tricks. And every drip sounds like a footstep. Every gust of wind sounds like a whisper. And inside, small alcoves are carved into the walls built as safety spots for workers. And standing in one, you can almost feel the phantom rumble of a train. This powerful atmosphere is what keeps the legend alive. So what's really going on at the Silver Run Tunnel? First, there's no official record of a bride dying at or near Tunnel 19. No newspaper articles and no railroad reports. The story seems to be an engineer's tale passed from one generation of workers to the next. But that doesn't mean the story came from nowhere. Railroading was an incredibly dangerous work. Not far from the tunnel, an old Irish cemetery is said to be the resting place for many laborers who died building this very railroad. And the ghost bride might be a composite, a symbol for all the lives lost to the tracks. And there's another grisly layer to the legend. In the 1940s, a story circulated that the skeleton of a woman in a tattered white dress was found in a chimney in an old house near the tunnel. And the tale goes she was given a proper burial. And for a while, the sighting stopped. And like the original story, there's no hard evidence, but it shows the deep-seated need for this restless spirit to finally be at peace. So is Silver Run Tunnel haunted? It's clear the tunnel was haunted, if not by a literal spirit, then by the sheer weight of its own story. And the legend is a perfect storm of history, folklore, and a genuinely eerie environment. And it was born from the real dangers of the railroad and is kept alive by the creepy atmosphere of the tunnel itself. And the tracks are gone, and the train whistles have been replaced by the quiet footsteps of hikers. And yet the story remains. And whether she was a real person or just a figment of a lonely engineer's imagination, the ghost bride of Tunnel 19 has found a way to become immortal, a timeless story of love, loss, and tragedy.
That was weird.
Yeah.
It said something about the fog. Did you hear her?
Yeah, what is that?
That was her. That's her. Dude, that's fucking crazy. No, I ain't going. Is an owl in here? I forgot what it said happened to her. For people to jump, to get rid of, to get out of the way of the train since the train came. You may have standing up and one of them things over there. I like running on slow. I think she can talk.
She said, whoops.
Can you talk to us? What's your name?
That was awesome. She got busted. She said, whoops.
We heard you.
It's okay. You don't have to.
What is it?
We like to hear you talk.
Do a lot of people come out here? Something up there. Do a lot of people come out here to talk to you? Yupper.
If you want us to leave, would you cut that light back on and I'll get out of your space and I won't bother you anymore? I'm never sure. You do? Okay. Thank you.